Hello and welcome to Full-Time Live on the Fulhamish YouTube channel, Twitter account and Facebook page. You are joining us after Fulham's third win of the season. We shot Leicester away from home, we've now shot Everton away from home. Our first league win at Goodison Park. And how Fulhamish is it that it comes when no Fulham fans can be there? But yeah, I think our last win in all competitions in the cut was it 49-59. So this has been a long time coming. I think it was 22 consecutive defeats there before today's victory. But to discuss today's massive win over Everton at Goodison Park, I'm joined by, as always, who's always positive after a Fulham game when we've won, Jack Kelly.
Yeah, I love it. Happy days.
And the one and only, as someone thought, was Gary Barlow on Twitter, but no, it's just Guy Barlow for today's video.
Yeah, how are we, lads? Very happy, I assume, after that.
Yeah, very happy after that game. So we start with the team lineups then. I'll go to you first, Jack. Obviously, we switched more to a 4 at the back today. We obviously Olaina playing at left back, and then we had Josh Maja up front for his first start of the season. And obviously, Anguissa not in the middle of the park, and it was obviously Reed and Lemina. What did you make of the team lineup when it came out, Jack?
Yeah, I was fairly happy with it. I think that Reed and Lemina last week made a really good impression as a double pivot without Anguissa. But a back 4 meant that we have to go and attack and give a little bit more than more of a conservative back 5. And I thought we coped with it really well. And Everton hardly ever put us under any pressure. And then Maja up front, I'm sure we'll come on to it because of where the second goal came from. His hold-up play was fantastic. And what was interesting is we got so much space in the central defensive midfield position where Harrison Reed was just picking up the ball. And Everton was sitting off us so much, I couldn't quite believe it, given that they should be the aggressors. They're the one that is chasing the top 4, top 6 finish. But yeah, the lineup was encouraging. Mitrovic having COVID is obviously unfortunate, but thank God we weren't playing Caviar up front. And look what happens when you start a striker up front in Josh Maja. I know it's his first start, but he's done so well. And what a fantastic team performance. Anderson, Tosin, Aina, everyone to a man again. Fantastic.
Guy, at half time, were you thinking, please don't be another one of those impressive first half performances and us coming away with only a point or nothing again?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like we had a lot of possession in the first half, especially. But as Jack said, Harrison Reed picking the ball up in the middle of midfield, no one around him. It felt we built from him the whole first half, but we didn't actually. I know we had some chances early on, but we didn't carve Everton open in the first half. I wouldn't say, despite all our possession. So yeah, no, it did look like, or I feared it was going to be one of those Parker performances where we have loads of the ball, but move it too slowly and don't actually do much with it. But we actually, yeah, I mean, Dom, you said that you worried about us conceding in the first 5 minutes of the second half. We didn't do that for once, and we actually scored ourselves. It was great.
Jack, what do you know? Because there was such dominance from this Fulham team today against Everton. What do you think Scott Parker did tactically, especially, even obviously across the whole game, but from the first whistle to make sure, Everton didn't really have a sniff?
It's interesting because of the lineup that Everton put out, there was no real. I mean, I think Doucouré is a fantastic player, and the fact I think they were playing Sigurdsson from the start. They were playing him in a more upfront forward position. I just think that the tactic from Parker was just to get at them because they can be vulnerable. I mean, without Michael Keane starting, they had Holgate and Godfrey, two, I wouldn't say inexperienced, but a lack of maybe a little bit of experience as their 2 centre halves. I just think we'll just go at them with no fear because we have the quality going forward, the likes of Lookman, Loftus-Cheek in that 10 position who, I thought he had an okay game today. He wasn't the star man for us, but I thought he was okay. I just think Parker would have just installed a little bit of belief and saying, look, we're playing well. We're putting in positive performances. We just need the goals. Go at Everton. Sunday night, they played 120 minutes on Thursday. Go at them, and you never know what will happen. And that is what we did from the start. We were dominant, and we were the aggressors. And that is why we sort of maybe shocked them and took them aback a bit. And they were thinking, well, this is new. Fulham are just completely flying out the blocks against us. And I feel like Everton would feel like they would want to dominate this sort of game. But I just think Parker got it spot on today. And to change it to a back 4 and to see us not really tested was very, very encouraging.
Yeah,
exactly. I was going to say, Guy, but it was. Someone posted actually, I think, in the Fulhamish group chat. Joe Johnson said it that, this is probably one of the worst performances we've seen from an opposition team against us. But a lot of people were pointing that, but do you think, as we've been speaking about, Scott Parker deserves immense credit today for how dominant we played?
Yeah, I think, as we've said, it's brave to go to a 4 at the back, especially away from home, somewhere we've literally never won a league game. But I think what else showed is the fact that we had a full week of preparation, as well as Everton not having that. Like, we were playing, Saturday, Tuesday, or Saturday, Wednesday for like 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row. And this week we had a full week. Josh Maja to get up to fitness if he needed to, and he came in from the start. So Scott Parker doesn't deserve immense credit for preparing us to take on this tired Everton team.
Yeah, to be fair, I probably wasn't actually positive in the game until we scored the first goal, because although the first half was great, it wasn't too unexpected. We've done that quite a lot this season, as I mentioned, that we've had good first half performances. You look at against Chelsea, you look against Manchester United recently, Leicester in the last few months, really. It's probably the only game where we've been at it at half time. And we've been disappointed with obviously going into the break. So I still wasn't like, oh, this is great. I was still like, we've seen this before. We really need to see something different. And I was saying that like Brighton, Newcastle win these type of games. We saw Newcastle win against Everton. Brighton getting 3 wins out of 4, playing well against Villa last night. But we finally showed some grit and determination that we can get these results. I don't want to go whether we can stay up or not stay up so far. We'll get into that later on. But Jack, we haven't spoken a huge amount yet about the match winner in Josh Maja. Obviously, he had a decent first half performance. But do you think what he showed today is that's the kind of striker we need in the team, a number 9 who's poaching, always looking to feed on the scraps and stuff?
Yeah, you completely stole the words. Poach is finishing for both goals. The fox in the box, fantastic positional play in terms of what you need from a striker. And that is what we've been crying out all season. My brother said if that's Cavallero, he misses both chances, which I wouldn't put it beyond him. But I just think it's not a surprise when you start a striker and play a natural striker in a natural striking position. He's going to get chances and maybe even put them away, which he did today. I thought Josh Maja was fantastic. And, he's never played in the Premier League before, but he's certainly made his mark. And he now will be the one, going forward as surely the starter. We won't see Mitrovic for a while now because of COVID. So this is his chance. He's made a hell of a good impression.
Another 2 players I want to talk about today is Harrison Reed and Joachim Andersen. Harrison Reed, I'd say, was probably our best player on the pitch. Was the best player on the pitch today, and he has been in a lot of our games, especially since around December time. He's really, come on leaps and bounds. Because early on in the season, I wasn't too sure if he was going to be up to Premier League level, but he's definitely showing he's one of the best players in this team. Guy, when it came to Harrison Reed and Joachim Andersen, do you feel like because they're so consistent? I'm not saying performances go under the radar as such, but these are what you come to expect from these type of players.
Yeah, and particularly with Harrison Reed, he's got the dirty job along with Lamina is kind of like break and play up. He's never scored for Fulham, Harrison Reed, so he's not going to get the headlines in that sense, but he's going to get the headlines in like man marking James Rodriguez out of the game or sticking to him like glue. And with Joachim Andersen, I love that he's almost got like a swagger that you normally associate with like a striker, but he's got it and he's playing centre half. Like he knows he's going to win the header. He's going to like dominate the number 9 of the opposing team. Like he's playing with so much confidence, and it just like translates onto the pitch and onto the players around him. Like he's such a confident centre half. I love it.
Yeah, but we got obviously from an old Brownie who's lucky, thankfully donated, and very, very nice of him to donate $5 to the stream. Common U Whites, will Harrison Reed or Common U Whites, should Harrison Reed be team captain? I think we spoke about captain quite a few times. That there are leaders on the pitch, and then there's your captains. If that makes sense. The season we went up, Kenny was captain, obviously, and Mitrovic, would eventually have the armband at some points, but. Kevin McDonald was the leader on the pitch. I think Harrison Reed, he's not quite in the same way a leader as Kevin McDonald. He's not going to be shouting at players, but he's another player who leads by example, but leads from the middle of the park, where more instead of Kearney being in a number 10 position. But yeah, I thought Harrison Reed today was a phenomenal guy. You know, if I take your take on Josh Maja, was this a kind of as what we've seen today? Is this showing the kind of striker we've needed since the start of the season? You know, a player who's going to run in behind and a player who's, you know, a poacher who will feed on scraps and get goals that way.
Absolutely. Particularly the second goal, it shows that like Bobby Roode was following in as well from the shot, but the only Fulham players were following in case there was a rebound, in case like ballooned up onto the post and fell back to him like it did. Like that kind of striker's instinct that I'm not sure Cavaleiro would have. And as you say, like, you know, Cavallero's a winger who's probably used to having a bit more of the ball, whereas Josh Maja might be able to just go 20 minutes without touching it and then pop up in a box, because that's what strikers do, right? And I think he's got that different mentality of, say, Cavaleiro or Bobby Reed playing up front, who likes to be creative, likes to be involved, whereas Josh Maja is just happy to score, which is what we desperately need, to be honest.
Yeah. Jack, you mentioned it before we came on air. Another player who deserves some credit today is Olorina. I thought he was great in that left back position today. Obviously, he had a chance in the first half from that set piece. And then he was creator for Josh Maja's first goal. Jack, what do you think was so impressive about Olorina today?
I just think he's so solid defensively as well. When he first came to the club, I remember his debut against Brentford in the Cup, and he wasn't good at all. His delivery when it came to the final ball was poor. It was always slow and sluggish and never really got past the first man. He's come on leaps and bounds, and honestly, I think because there is an option to buy, regardless of if we go down on, I genuinely think we go in for him. I genuinely think he's solid, and the fact that we played him at left back today, and Joe Bryan was nowhere to be seen, and Robinson got dropped, was very, very interesting to see, because he's played the third centre back in that five at the back, and there's been sound. And on the wing, he's got that pace to get up and down the pitch, and you know, got the assist for Josh Maja's. I keep thinking I'm going to say Josh King, but it's Josh Maja. Yeah, I just thought it was a good ball into the box, really low, direct, and obviously the tap in from Maja. I just think Ayena's been so underrated. No one's really talking about him as much as every other player, especially in that back three back five when you've got Tosin and Anderson, who have been so impressive. Ayena's just been the quiet one who just goes about his business and doesn't do much wrong. Since Brighton, I think he's been fantastic. Like, really stepped up his game, and yeah, genuinely one I would like to sign permanently for the future.
Before we head to the comments, Guy, when it comes to what this victory does, do you think the damage has already been done, or do you think the fact that obviously we played Burnley twice, we played Newcastle in the last game of the season, they're going to be without their main goal threat in Callum Wilson for a while. We'll see how Chelsea get along against them, obviously, on Monday night. But do you think this can be a springboard, or do you think most of the damage has already been done?
It's a difficult one, because I think you have to ask me in 2 games. Literally, like, ask me next Sunday, and I think I'll have an answer. Because our next 2 games,
well, 10 p.m. next Saturday, we'll have a sort of final idea of where we're going to be with these 2 massive 6-pointers coming up this week.
Yeah, that's my answer as well. Like, I'll probably take a point at Burnley, and we've got to beat Sheffield United. Like, it's it's simple stuff, isn't it? When you're down the bottom, you just got to win. and we've only won 3 games this season. This is our first win in, what is it, 15?
Since Leicester game is in November, and it would have been a lot of games since then. Jack, on the same topic, Guy mentioned they take a point at Burnley and go for the winning at Sheffield United. But do you think we are actually in a position where we do actually need 6 points from these next 2 games?
Yeah. I mean, we do need them. I think to get 7 points from Everton, Burnley, and Sheffield United, everyone would take that because of the record at Goodison, whatever. But I think we have to go.
Once you've got that win against Everton, you can't then. I still don't think you can say take 7 points from this. I think because you're 10 points. I know you're 10 points behind, but once you've got that 3 points against Everton, then you were still expecting the 2 wins against Sheffield United and Burnley anyway.
And then you got Palace.
You were hoping, and then Palace cut, and still we haven't got Zaha. We should probably hopefully win that game. So do you think this, although 7 points from these 3 games would have been taken by the fans, it's now about building a run of momentum to really pile the pressure on the teams above us?
Yeah, this is a brilliant win for so many reasons. It's a springboard for these 3 games coming up and the rest of the season. everyone's been saying that win is coming, and it finally came in fantastic circumstances tonight. And I generally feel like we have to go to Burnley and have to have the mentality that we need to win. They're a team who are around us, a team we are chasing down, and a team we need to take all 3 points off. I know it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a horrible game. It always is playing Burnley, and we were terrible in the cup against them. But going forward now, you have to. This is the blueprint now. With this performance, this 90 minutes, we have to take that and go, right, well, can we do that against everyone else? Because we were magnificent tonight. And we've seen performances like the West Ham game was, I wouldn't say similar to this game, but we had that performance in us and we just lacked the goal to win us the game. And what's so frustrating is this season's going to come down to the fine moments of the season already. You know, that 1 point we could have picked up there, but we could have avoided in another game. And that's what is the fine margins in this league, the VAR situations. I mean, so now we have to go on, push on, and try and get all 3 points at Burnley and then Sheffield United as well.
Yeah, I think one thing we can not take heart from, but also look at Aston Villa this season. I'm not saying we're going to challenge for the top 6 next season if we stay up, but they stayed up by the smallest and thinnest of margins. People will say they only stayed up because goal line technology wasn't working. I don't believe that. That was the first game after lockdown. The points are accumulated in the next lot. You know, Watford completely fell off and allowed them to stay up. But you can see how much they've pushed on this season by just having that staying up one season. And you know I know they're a much bigger club than what we are. If you look at their European Cup winners in the history, but do you think, Guy, that staying up this season could revitalise this club and we could become the team that we were used to growing up from the ages we are, of us being a Premier League sort of stalwart?
Yeah, and I think partly that's about Scott Parker, like his ability to coach new players. Like we had a complete shift in players this season, really. Even like Zamba didn't start today, who Parker had a relationship with a couple of years ago. Like his ability to not necessarily change his whole style, but change his coaching to the different players he's got in. He's already got a tune out of Josh Maja. Say we were to, fingers crossed, stay up, and then we built on the squad even further, then I'd back Parker to do the same again. He's improving as a manager. As
we mentioned, Villa, they brought in a goalkeeper which needed Emilio Martinez. They brought in another dynamic midfielder in Ross Barkley. So they've shown that they've built on the foundations of, and that's if we are to stay up. I think that's what Scott Parker will do if he can get the players they want through Tony Khan. That's a totally different story. But I mean, Jack could have another 20 Southwest Essentials for the next 6 months, just talking about any Tony Khan business going on social media.
There's a point here. I mean, I will now give credit to Tony Khan just for tonight, because he signed Josh Maja before the deadline and he's got 2 important goals tonight. But we'll have that conversation at the end of the season, really. But
yeah, I mean, he said he's not in the process of other teams' players. I mean, it's 7 loanees starting tonight. So I mean, that's another point. That's another point for a whole new video. If we go to some of the comments that have been left, obviously in the comment section from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If we go to have a look, Somerville says from Frank Dog about Josh Maja, saying he makes such a big difference playing as a natural striker rather than wingers or midfielders doing a job. If I go to you, Guy, do you think what we've seen today is, although the way they play is quite similar in regard to their pacey player trying to run in behind and stuff, an actual natural striker in that number 9 position has helped us no end today?
Yeah, absolutely. Just his movement, his ability to hold the ball up better than Cav or anyone else playing up there. Yeah, he is a great signing and, would become, a Fulham legend if he fired us up. If he kept us up, some bagged 10 goals between now and the end of the season. I mean, that's what we need to happen. And yeah, based on tonight, it looks like he's got it in him.
Another question here, Jack, is from Kurt Farmer. This is obviously coming from YouTube as well. Can we talk about Fulham playing better away from home? The pitches are bigger. This suits our football. Craven Cottage, the pitch is too tight for us, and we play better on bigger pitches. Do you think the fact that 2 of our 3 wins have come away from home, and quite a few of our draws have, we do seem to play better away from home? Do you think there's anything to do with the size of the pitch, or what do you put our ability to play better away from home? Is it because there's less pressure on us, and with no fans, there's no necessarily home advantage? What do you put it down to, Jack?
So many things. I think I've been saying it all season. I've been saying that we play better away from home, hands down. It is down to the tightness of the Craven Cottage pitch. It's also because every time we play at home, it looks so predictable what we're going to do. I just feel like we can't carve out as many chances. I feel like it's just a narrower pitch and it's just difficult to create. I also think that it's a small part of the pitch, but I've always been not a fan of this. The corner flags at Craven Cottage with the ramp going down, you can never generate enough power to get that. Well, you can if you're good enough, but we seem to just never get a corner past the first man. And away from home, like you said, more expansive pitches, better space to counter attack and get in behind. Leicester and Everton. I just think that we played better. I mean, the Spurs, Newcastle, we played fantastically. All our really decent performances this season have mostly come away from home. The only good one at home was West Brom, obviously, and Liverpool. I don't know. That was just a weird game because obviously the fans were there, so maybe it gave the players a bit of a lift. But never like watching us at home, especially this season.
Yeah. I was gonna, Guy. One. I've just seen the comments, so I'm gonna have to bring it up. About Loftus-Cheek played really well today. Were you watching a different game to me? I didn't see him touch the ball in the second half.
You've got a big old agenda against him.
I do have an agenda against Loftus-Cheek. I don't know. He's got another 90 minutes today. I reckon that piece of paper that Anguissa got handed to would have said, just don't pass the ball to Loftus-Cheek. I think
he's playing against us.
Yeah, he's playing against us. It's like with Karim Benzema and Ferland Mendy. Yeah. But no, I didn't think he was that. I think out of the midfield three, he was centrally. I thought he was probably the worst. But if I just keep going on Loftus-Cheek, I will just get into an absolute rabbit hole. There's another point here that's been brought up about Anthony Robinson. Once I can find it, but Jack. Does he get back into this side?
Well, I think Aina now, it'd be very harsh to drop him. I think that Robinson's pace is very, very handy, especially down that left-hand side. But he runs like he's running without the ball. Like he will take a touch to get the ball in front of his feet. And it just takes him so long to get into his stride. And Aina tonight was faultless down the left-hand side. So I think he won't start against Burnley. And he's going to work his way back in the team. I think since the red card against Chelsea, it's completely knocked him, and he struggled. And I think that a lot of fans on Twitter were quite happy he got dropped, and I was the same. And Ola Aina proved that he's more than capable at left back.
Guy, a point here about from Christopher Dennis about Harrison Reed. I'll read it out, but there's another sort of point here I want to move on to. At the start of the season, I couldn't see Harrison Reed starting. But the last few games, he's been a driving force, keeping ticking over and never losing. But I've been our best player, especially in probably the last 6 weeks or so. When it comes to Anguissa, for me, I don't think he gets back into midfield at the moment because I feel like Anguissa at the moment, ever since he rumouredly had COVID when we had the outbreak in December, he hasn't looked the same play. He doesn't have the same energy. He's not driving through the middle as much. So do you think, the midfield we play today is the one, the team we play today should be the blueprint as such going forward, considering it's the first game we've won since November? Or even October, I can't remember when it was.
No, actually, I would get Anguissa back in there for Lamina. I think Anguissa just offers so much. Like, there's a reason he's, most tackles, most interceptions in the league, or second most or something. Like, he breaks up the play so well, and he is that driving force. Yes, you're right. He hasn't been fit since he allegedly had COVID. But for me, he's just too good a player not to play. And that's not to say Lamina's been bad, but yeah, I love Anguissa. I mean, that's what it comes down to. A bit of favouritism.
Also, Lamina went off injured as well. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. So Anguissa maybe starts.
I feel like Lamina's never started 2 games in a row for us anyway.
Is he not?
Well, he's always in and out. I don't know. Maybe that's just like an anecdotal thing. Yeah.
Question here coming from Travis Dannard. If you could only sign 2 of the loan players on a permanent, who would it be? I'll go to you first, Jack.
Oh, Anderson and Areola, surely. Which is harsh on Lookman. I love Lookman. That's harsh.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think a goalkeeper, Areola is the best we've had since Schwarzer, I'd say. He'd walk into Everton's team. He's better than Pickford and he's better than Olsen. He's better than David De Gea. So he'd get into United's team. I'd say he's better than Mendy. He's better than Azra Balaga at Chelsea. Yeah. I'd say, I know Alisson's having a bit of blip now, but I'd say, Edison, Alisson at Liverpool, Probably wouldn't get in over Schmeichel at Leicester, but it'd be close.
Hmm.
You're looking at Arsenal, he's probably level with Bernd Leno, if not better. So I think he's a top 6 level goalkeeper at a bottom 3 side, or hopefully we'll get out of the bottom 3. But as it stands, a bottom 3 side. Guy, would you agree that it would be Arrow and Anderson you'd be looking to sign if you could only pick 2?
I really want to wind you up and say Loftus-Cheek, but I'm not.
I will be solely supporting Tuna Mitchell full-time if we find Ruben Loftus-Cheek on a permanent deal over someone like Anderson, Areola, or Lookman.
Yeah, no, I mean, it has to be Anderson and Areola for me, yeah. Not that controversial, yeah. Exactly the same as you guys.
When we need to get many of these on loans permanent. Obviously, when it comes to options, I believe we have an option on Areola, an option on Mario Lemina,
as well.
Yeah, on Olarina, and Anderson at Lookman. I don't believe are options, but I think if we were to stay up, there'd be deals we could get over the line. You know, Adamo Lookman wasn't getting a look at RB Leipzig, and Leipzig are only going from strength to strength. I think, you know, the rumour was only looking for 15 odd million, 20 mil in the January transfer window, considering we paid pretty much that for Cavallero and Knockout. I can't see any reason why. Knockout signing is probably going to go down as one of the worst signings in Fulham history, considering he paid over 10 mil for him and loaned him out straight away. At least Cavallero's had a part to play this season. Then if you're looking at Anderson, I think you're looking at 25 mil, 20 mil. They're probably looking to recuperate as much of the money they paid to Sampdoria, Olympic Lyon in regard to what they signed on signings. Jack, Kenny Tete for only, what was it, £2 million, £3 million, you know, and tossing for £2 to £3 million. Those signings, if we do stay up, could end up being some of the signings of the season.
Crucial, like honestly,
in regard to value for money.
Honestly, to get Tosin Adrabayo, who was at Blackburn last season and got absolute rave reviews, so I was quite excited when he joined from Manchester City. And Kenny Tete, who played in the semi-final of the Champions League last season with Lyon. I just think that we battered Tony Khan, and we have this week, but those were fantastic signings, and the deals he got for them, and he'll justify that he waited late to sign them to get the best deals and blah, 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 which is fine. I just think that those two players have been, I mean, Tosin especially, but Tete really, since he's come back from injury, has been absolutely superb. And I'm just really pleased that we've made these signings for a very small fee, and the fact we were linked with Matty Cash, who arguably has had a decent season with Villa, but he would have cost us like 17 million. And I think Tete can do just as good of the job.
Yeah. But I think as I said, the Tete and Tosin deals, we essentially got them both for a combined fee of probably £5 or £6 million, and they end up keeping us up. You know, when it comes to value for money, you can't really beat them too much. And if you're looking back at today's game, obviously a lot of fans from opposition teams and, you know, neutrals are saying, you know, we're in a false position in the table. I don't believe we're necessarily in a false position in the table. I don't think you ever really are. I think your position in the table is where you deserve to be, because it's where the points you've gotten in games. It doesn't matter where you're expected.
Our XG, Dom?
I mean, it doesn't matter where it honestly does not matter where you're expected to finish. It matters where you are in the table. That's how football works. But as we mentioned, we just need to make sure we use this as a springboard now, because although, as we mentioned before, Guy was saying that, you know, 7 points from these games would have been good and fans would have taken it. But, you know, we're coming to mid-February now. You know, there's probably 15 odd games of the season remaining. We're getting to a point now, and we got to this point 2 years ago, where we can't really take draws, especially against, you know, if we're playing a team in the top 6. I understand when people say we can take a draw here, but you know, Burnley, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, all coming up. These are your bread and butter. This should be your bread and butter if you are going to stay up. These are the games you need to go to, and thankfully 2 of them are away from home. So, and we have been better there, but these are the games where, although, you know, as I said, points total from the accumulative 3 or 4 games, you get it. But these, as I said, these are the games we need to go and put our stance on the game and really go out and try and win them, Jack.
Yeah, you have to beat the teams around you if you want to stay up, especially the deficit of points we need to make up. And Newcastle and Burnley will be looking at the result tonight and thinking, right, well, Fulham are now 7 points behind us, so we do need to keep our game up. Otherwise, they will catch us because they've got that game in hand. Of course, that could become 4 points. And that is the thing. You've got to take it each game at a time. You can't. Well, I know we have, but you can't look ahead and go, "This is how many." But you just got one game at a time. You beat Burnley, you're 4 points behind, and that is pressure on there. And it's game on. We can still stay up. But these are the games now. Sheffield United, they're done. They can't stay up. It's almost impossible. Crystal Palace have been terrible without Zaha. They were terrible yesterday. Roy Hodgson will probably leave at the end of the season. I think the era for Crystal Palace this era is over, and they need to now look at a younger manager who can take them forward. Because I think they will have enough to stay up. But these are the games that Fulham have to win, and the performances we've been putting in the last couple of weeks, that I have more than enough confidence that we can get 9 points from these next few games. I genuinely feel like this could be like 4 wins in a row, and suddenly, oh right, Fulham are just justifying what everyone's saying about them, that they are good at football.
Yeah, I think we're at a stage where performances aren't enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's got the goals.
It's not. It's just about results now. Like performances have been coming for, we've playing well since November, essentially, apart from a couple of, the Burnley game in the cup, QPR game in the cup, and probably the Leicester game. From that, performances have been spot on. Even away to City when we lost 2-0. I know it wasn't quite the City they are now, but we still played well in that game and we're unlucky to lose that 2-0. The penalty was I still don't think it's a penalty. I still think it's a dive from Raheem Sterling. But yeah. But no, I think we'll wrap it there for today's full time. A good half an hour nattering in positivity about Fulham's 2-0 victory at Goodison Park. Our first ever league win at the Merseyside club in blue. But it's been a pleasure talking about this with the one and only Jack Kelly.
Brentford lost their 22 unbeaten run today as well, which is good.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that was so great.
And we'll see Barnsley's their bogey team. It's just a shame Colin Woodrow wasn't the one to completely put their unbeaten run in the mud. But again, they'll be the best team in the Championship this season, but won't go up once again. But it's been, as always, it's also been a pleasure to say, talking all things Fulham on this full-time live, looking at the Everton game with the one and only Guy Barlow.
Thank you very much, Dom. Lovely to speak to you, mate.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. So make sure if you're on YouTube to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and then hit the notification bell. You get a notification whenever I'm doing a preview or Jack's doing a South West Essential. We're doing a full-time live. But this has been the Fulhamish YouTube channel, podcast, Facebook account, Twitter account, wherever you're watching this. You Whites, and what a win that was.
Come on.
You Whites.